show either. That was my experience with going off of the Acid Queen, honey. The legendary Pete Townsend, who wrote the music for The Who's Tommy, told me that I gave a wicked performance in the middle of my show. And a standing O. Yeah, so I will take that memory with me for the rest of my life. And that was also proof for me that I was not going to stay in the ensemble for very long in my career. I ended up being in the show for 6 months. Only because I started auditioning for a new Broadway show called Smokey Joe's Cafe. And I knew the casting director for this incoming new show, Peter Wise. We were friends. Hey Peter, how you doing? Shout out. We were friends, so he reached out to me personally. I want you to come in and audition. And I'm like, all right, cool, but I need you to know, I'm actually out of the show right now, because at that time I had slightly sprung my ankle in the show, so I was out. I had been out for 2 days, I think. And so I had to call my production stage manager to ask her if I could go to this audition. I promised her I wouldn't dance or whatnot. And she was like, sure. It wouldn't have been a cute look to get busted being out of the show and going to an audition. So pin that moment, because this is later going to come back from my butt. Anyway, I get approval from Karen to go to this audition. Of course, I get a call back. I had to explain to them at the audition I can't really do anything because my ankle is injured. I did as much as I could. It was Joey McNeely who choreographed the Broadway production of Smokey Joe's Cafe. Hey Joey, how you doing? Where you at, boo? Thoroughly enjoyed auditioning for Joey. He was so much fun. He was so nasty in a good way. Back then, the choreographers were just as nasty as they want to be. They'd say things like, pop that coochie, get those titties up, stuff like that. They would cuss you out if they wanted to. But back then, you had to have really, really tough skin. Now, things are a bit different, and you can't even say point your foot or, someone will get offended. Y'all aren't cut from the same cloth that I came up in. Some things are great now that you can't be abused, but some things are just absolutely absurd and absolutely ridiculous. People call out with the smallest of things. Child, back in the day, you would come in hurt, you didn't miss show. I don't know, maybe it was just work ethic, all I'm saying. I ended up booking Smokey Joe's Cafe. I ended up being in Tommy for only 6 months because of the booking. But the most beautiful part about this transition was that I was able to do something for the first time in my career called double duty. Okay? If you've never heard of that, it means I rehearsed from 10 to 6 during the day. I got released a little bit early because I had to be in the theater at 7:30 for half hour. So double duty is when you're in a show and you're rehearsing for another show before you leave for 2 weeks, right? So you have to give your 2-week notice, but you still have to come to work. So you're getting paid 2 salaries, which is also a blessing. I think Smokey Joe's had a 5 or 6 week rehearsal period, but I had to complete my 2 weeks. So God is so good, because I literally think 2 months, maybe 3 months after I joined Smokey Joe's, Tommy closed. They were given notice that they were closing, and they closed. God is so good all the time. He had me covered. I went from one Broadway